Meeting to order.
Justin's walking up
Oh,
right
is he?
now, so if we wait just
Okay.
1 minute.
All right.
You can go slow.
Wait a
The roll
minute.
call.
Microphone is now open.
We'll be here in just a sec. So 5:30, we will call the meeting to order. Please take roll call.
William Peck.
Here.
Justin Coley.
Here.
Madison Knudsen. Here. Colleen Longbach. Here. Allison Hitt. Here. Shelby Poole. Ashley Passick.
Here.
Carly Sherrill.
Here.
Joe Valentine.
All right. Joe was supposed to do the mission and vision. Can anyone volunteer to step in, please?
I can do it. The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs and strategies grounded in solid research combined with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis of a rigorous overall educational program that builds strong skills in math, reading, literature, writing, music, science, and technology. The vision of WLA is to be a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take on the academic and leadership challenges they will face in high school and beyond.
Thank you. And we'll move to approval of the agenda. Of note, any items wanting to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion would need to make that motion here. Patrick has a few words.
I just have a few words. Usually we pass a consent agenda just openly as we've reviewed it and looked at it. For transparency, I want to make it, draw people's attention to it. And part of the consent agenda, you'll see an Angela Bugan, which is the wife of Jonas. The background story behind this is we have an art teacher going out on leave. Will be out on leave for the remainder of the year after spring break. Angela has offered to be the long-term sub, and we reviewed it with the nepotism policy. She would not be supervised by Jonas. I would be her supervisor. Is she fully qualified for this position? She's been an art teacher for 25 years in the Robbinsdale district or more. Just has been off for a few years, and then is paid according to scale or experience, and making sure that we're on par and we're not favoring any of those, and all of those cleared. So just some transparency and clarity instead of just this usually blind consent when it comes to that. So.
I will make a motion to approve the February board meeting agenda as is. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Any conflict of interest to declare from anybody tonight? All right, hearing none. No public comment? Okay. And Patrick, for the principal report, please.
Thank you. As you can see, we switched it from superintendent's report to principal's report. Again, I'll try to expedite this process. You know, this is the time of the year, as we all know, that we take a pause and we just somewhat reflect on the successes and learnings from the year. I know the staff did that. We had PD on Tuesday, and that was part of the PD in the morning that we reflected. And as I've gone through the year as principal, I've really kind of launched into this motto as we grow, that it's a bigger school, but a small community. And how do we maintain that brand as we grow? You think about it, and we're a big school. We open a classroom at every grade, but we're a small community because we could still limit class sizes, right? Unlike many of the traditional public schools, we limit class sizes to 20 to 24, depending on the grade. We're a big school. We joined the Minnesota State High School League. Can you believe it? Woodbury Leadership Academy, big school item. Small community, everybody is welcome to join the teams and the clubs, right? We're gonna keep that going. We want that to be open to all. Big school, able to add advanced math in 6th and 7th grade because of our numbers. Small community, still able to do the data dive to take a look at individual progress, the gaps and trends in that. Big school, over 1,000 kids, right? In just that building, A and B, right over here. but we're small enough still to do Battle of the Books, thank you very much, coming up. We have our first ever winter concert, right? We have the Kinder Balloon Parade, which continues to be the tradition regardless of how many classrooms we have. Fourth grade poetry slam, robotics, you name it, all of these activities, continue to get the small community feel. And I think, and also in the reflection, there are a few things we can really be proud of. We talked the other day, and some of the third grade teachers rolled their eyes, but we have more students in the building and we have less office referrals. And that's, to me, as a longtime principal, just a symbol of really quality teaching, right? It's these teachers who can differentiate curriculum, meet individual teachers' needs, and an admin team, not me, the other assistant principals who are just unbelievably responsive. And so I think that's a win for us too. If you haven't heard it already, the elementary archery team won like a 20-team tournament this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really big. Second grade this year had a families in for an involvement night, and that I don't know if that has been a tradition in the past, but it would really welcome families from the get-go in early fall. I was really proud of that. Plans are in place for a new playground for next year. And our new hires and teachers have been phenomenal. And part of that is, again, teachers here onboarding them, putting them into the system. We even added a fifth grade teacher mid-year that has just been rolled right in. And so very happy with that. So that's kind of just a brief state of the school from the principal's view right now and things. The other couple things that I want to add that's going to get voted on today as part of the principal report, because it was kind of my pushing. And we discussed this with the finance group. Should we discuss it now or at the?
Yeah, this
okay.
is it.
We are going to change our insurance broker. And the reasons behind that is twofold. One is we're currently with a broker that really focuses on smaller institutions and then pools different businesses together to try to create leverage to get the best insurance. Well, when we looked at it and we had other companies look at it, they said, listen, you're big and you have a bunch of young people working here. Now when your contract runs out, you should be leveraging that and reducing your rates. So again, salaries, we get the higher, you pay a little bit less and better benefits. And secondly, because of the smaller service provider, Nicole Link, who many of you know, who's already pulled in multiple directions, she's kind of been the mediator, which is what the broker's supposed to do in between. And that's, again, no shade, it's a smaller brokerage company. And so to just lessen the load for her as well. And the whole thing to transfer costs us nothing. Health Partners pays them. We can change at any time. But they will service our contract till January 1, 2027. And then at that time, that's when we'll really get the leverage. We'll be able to leverage that for better pricing and things like that. So we're excited about that, and we're going to vote on it later, so I just wanted to share that. Any questions? Okay. Then the last piece then with the principal's report is just that we met as a development team committee, and I'm going to hand it over to William to kind of give us a brief synopsis.
Yeah. Nothing to vote on from the development committee. It was more informational. It was me, Patrick, Justin, and Josh, and Greg too. Just kind of talking about the process of getting people to come and tour the school, whether it's friends or family or parents, and I guess just making that connection. What else was there to add?
I think, yeah, it's just, right now, and some of these teachers have known, we've had some donor tours, and that's kind of the start to getting our school known to people companies, businesses we can either partner with or bring in finances or funds from. And so that's part of it. And then it's tracking our current partners and possible partners for our future to like, what are we doing with them right now? You know, like YMCA, we have a partnership with the YMCA. They contact them out to do after school. They would be on that list. And then if we wanted more, we'd have that relationship, but we just kind of booked that and we will share that piece out to everyone.
Yeah. I can say I've been on one of the tours of just
Thank you.
someone who's interested, and like, it really opened their eyes. They loved it. They want to get more involved. So if you have the opportunity, I definitely recommend going with somebody you know on one of the tours or one of these businesses that we're partners with. And like, it's just cool to watch people's eyes be opened to how great our school is. So definitely recommend it.
He's selling it short. It was a state representative that came through our school and saw it. And, you know, that's a great thing, a partner, because he can leverage us, we can leverage him to get things that we need.
Thank you. 6.2, financial reports. Tony?
Awesome. Some highlights that we're going to talk about. Justin shared Dustin. Gosh, it's been a long day.
hard.
I'm
We have
sorry.
Dustin and
I went into
Justin.
Maddie's room and I'm like, I just don't feel like talking today. Okay. Anyways, Dustin shared some information about the cash balance that was reported, that it's about $100,000 less due to some lease aid approval that's going to be coming up soon. That was the couple questions that we had. So that was one thing, and again, that should be, Dustin and Jonas should be getting that to us next month, once we know the lease aid approval timing on that. A wonderful thing we talked about, just like Patrick was sharing, he had a presentation, shared some information about the brokerage change, which I think is going to be really good. Connected with some of my coworkers, and we were all really excited to hear that. We had a mini training on an affiliated business company. Dustin shared with us, we went through the balance sheet and the accounts that is held at the US Bank. That's the trustee for that. He explained the company financials. There's lots of numbery stuff, including that $14 million in bond proceeds that were received this last summer, just in July. $6.4 million already had been paid for construction, and about almost $6 million that's remaining in the construction fund. There's an approximate $8 million in surplus. Some of the old national checking transactions don't reflect that, but that's going to be added next month too. Those are the big things that we were talking about. We wanted to get more of a handle on what that process is with the other building. We also talked about there were some discrepancies about like the food service stuff. We were having questions on with that. Jonas shared what we're doing with the food service that we have right now and how things seem to be going really, really well. We have some employees, they staff, so that helps with our budget, bringing money for staff. For us, the company provides staffing there. This year, Jonas has mentioned there's been improved service and fewer complaints, which as a teacher I can say as well, we've had fewer complaints on the food, which is really good to hear. Which kind of led into the fact we'd like to learn more about food service, so we'll have a mini training for the March Finance Committee meeting about food services. Yep. And that's it.
And I would just add that, just to keep in mind that generally, I think the state average is about 12% of food service comes from general fund when you do the disbursements and everything like that. So if you see it below, that's.
So it sounds like we're ready to make a motion to approve the January financials and approve the February committee minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Is there
Aye.
a discussion? I had a question and I didn't know where to put it in.
Okay.
So, so we have short-term and long-term disability that we pay for out of our, like that's part of our package. But now the state of Minnesota is asking that this new long-term, short-term disability be added. I don't know if it's long or short. Doesn't matter. So the school ended up paying for that. But
This year.
have we, right, this year, has there been conversation about getting rid of the other one?
That's a
Because we
great-
don't need both, so I just wanted to put it back on to your, like,
It came up
Put it
very,
over
very
there.
minimally, like,
Yeah.
2 months ago.
I brought it up to Jonas because
Yeah.
my employer no longer offers short-term disability because of
Yes.
the program.
It is
through
on
the
his
state, so
radar and
it-
Dustin's.
Right,
Yeah.
but the contracts that you have right now
Would
don't
stand.
expire
Right.
until the end of the year, so that would be part of what's considered. I imagine he'll go through that in the summer, right? Because
the
elections
new
will be in the
brokerage
fall.
would.
And I'm gonna bring
To
it,
take
and I'll
place.
bring it up to the new brokers.
Right, because that would be part of that package that we would get for our stuff.
Yes, did you say this is a Minnesota company primarily? The
Yes.
New brokerage, so they'll know too. But that's what I'm considering.
Right, right. I knew that it wouldn't go away now. I
Yeah.
just wanted to, because it still is financially savvy for the school to get rid of that one, but it's also financially savvy for us to get rid of that one, so. Now I'm ready.
Any further discussion? I will re-ask, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, governance, who was?
I am taking
All right,
Joe's,
thank
yes.
you.
When we met, it was really quick. We had kindergarten roundup that evening. What we had on the agenda was to discuss the calendar for the policies that we will review or make sure that we include. So we just reviewed that calendar, and I think that it doesn't say on here what we're going to be discussing, what policies we'll be discussing next time. So the future ones, those are not. So now we have a calendar. We went through, I don't know how much you guys remember. We went through and discussed which policies we needed to make sure that we looked at every year, and then made sure that those were on our calendar to review. And then we need to make sure that if we don't have a policy, that we add that policy. So those are also added to our calendar. So right now, we have all of those policies that need yearly review and to add policies that we don't currently have through December of 2026. And then we'll start the remainder of the months, we will work on reviewing policies that are coming up. So we have that, we now have a plan, and we're ready to go.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
With the high school growing, are there any policies that you see stand out to help and support our older students?
That's a really great question. Let me see, give me a moment to see if I can,
One of the ones we're doing for March,
you.
I think is good for high school, it's student dress appearance in uniform. So that one I felt was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And eventually there will be a student journalism policy, which would apply more to them, I believe.
Yeah, and that one's on for,
oh, Jonas said that we will distribute policy review calendar next month.
That question.
It must be.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted. Okay, that's,
Okay, anything else? Do you want to make a motion or something?
sure, I would like to make a motion to approve February's governance committee report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So now we have come to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests, in which the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed. Consent agenda items are as follows: the approval of the January meeting minutes and the approval of February personnel update. I would like to make a motion that to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Can you please take roll call?
William Beck,
Yes.
Justin Colley,
Yes.
Maddie Knudsen,
Yes.
Colleen Lautenbach,
Yes.
Allison Pitt,
Yeah.
Ashley Cassick,
Yes.
and Carly Sher.
Yes. All right, discussion items. Comprehensive needs assessment. Patrick.
I was supposed to do this last month and totally dropped the ball, so here we are, comprehensive needs assessment. Just to start out with, this is related to strategic plan. Typically, before you start a strategic plan, you go through a comprehensive needs assessment. It's just examining your systems, data, and practices to determine what's working, okay, and what is the priorities. First one is to plan the work, and what that consists of is collecting data, really. I've been so impressed as a principal how data-rich our schools are. You know, it's from assessment data broken down by student to probably the most impressive is the office referral and how they track that, and that they can columnize it and the like. And so we're planning the work. We're gonna collect the data. Much of it we already have. And then after we collect the data, the next portion of it is identifying the root causes and priorities of the gaps within the data. And then report and use the results. So if you go to the next slide, or even the next one. So some of the data that we're going to be looking through to understand student outcomes, school experiences, customer satisfaction, okay, is student outcomes. We already have that data, a lot of that data. Student experiences, family experiences, and staff experiences. So one of the areas of data that we've already identified that we're not doing as well, or we could elevate, is the surveys, family surveys, staff surveys, even student surveys, and policy and programming practices. We have a woman whose name is Brenda Damiani who does this. She is giving us a nice discount on doing this, as she's starting this role, and she has worked with Doug Jonas and I, full disclosure, in the past, and we've been happy with her work. This will get input from multiple stakeholders. A lot of it you'll see our staff meetings going forward. A lot of this will be brought up for you and getting your input. And then we're going to just start identifying, again, the strengths, the gaps, and emerging themes across the different data types. All right? You can go past this one. And then again, like I said, we're going to move from describing issues to understanding their causes and setting improvement priorities, because sometimes the data doesn't tell the whole story, right? On what the root cause is. Again, a student struggling, and you go and you see absences, and it might be a root cause, something going on at home. And then the key actions, again, we're going to watch for patterns existing in the data. And it's important to differentiate between surface level symptoms and deeper root causes. And then I think the most important part of when you do a needs assessment is prioritizing it. There's a lot of needs, and being able to prioritize one that we believe as an entire organization could make the greatest impact. The urgency, and the connection, bang for the buck. Okay, go ahead. Okay. So here's kind of been the timeline so far. We've met, we've had a planning meeting. We've kind of identified what data we have that we can kind of plug in the system with Megan and the assistant principals. Then we kind of did a process overview of, okay, these are things that we're missing, this is the data we're going to collect. And then once we have the data that we kind of want to collect, then that's when we start bringing it out to the multiple stakeholders and talking about those things and presenting it in that way. So, try to kind of do a flyover today of that. It's really important work. I didn't mean to shortchange it, but it's really gonna be interesting when we get all the data put together, right? And seeing really truly where our gaps are. And identifying what our non-negotiables are. Obviously, core knowledge school, that's our curriculum, that's our non-negotiable, right? If it's, quality teachers, what does that mean, and what is that? That's what we have before you tonight, and we'll keep the board updated as we go through the process.
How are we trying to gather family surveys? I just asked that because sometimes just having the parent in the building, you can gather that data. You get kind of corner them, like,
Yeah.
hey, give us your input. And we have conferences coming up.
Yeah.
Now that's a quick turnaround, but is that something where we could?
I think the only issue with that is tracking it and having that consistency. So I think there'll be a survey, and I think with the survey, right, we want to track the quantity of that we're receiving back in the survey, right? We got to make sure we're asking the right questions of what those parents want. We got to use some templates from outside sources so it's consistent, right? Absolutely. I know Jonas is going to be bringing to you before conferences some things related to re-recruiting to ask parents at that time, but kind of that's the plan.
Is the leadership team consisting of WA employees, or is this?
The leadership team from on the top, that who's met so far has
This group right
been
here.
that group right
That's just
there. And then we've discussed it at the administrative meeting, which is the leadership team there. And then once we collect that, then we'll bring it over to the greater stakeholders.
All right. So we'll move on to 8.2, which is a summary of closed session from the January board meeting. I'll just say that we did Jonas's mid-year review. And that's the only thing that was about. So then 9.1 is to approve the school calendar and the revised 2026 testing calendar. So these were in your packet. You have been able to review them. So I will make a motion to approve the 2026 to 2027 school calendar and the revised 2025 to 2026 testing calendar.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, but I don't know that now is the right time. So I'm not sure what I should say. I just don't know that the calendar, I don't feel comfortable approving the calendar as it is right now without having further discussion about it. So I don't know if now is the right time to have that discussion, or if we should table it and discuss it later, or I'll just vote no and we can move on.
Any other discussion?
I think that going till June 11th or June 10th is really late, and I don't know that it's gonna do anybody any favors. And I know that we're looking at what dates can we withdraw, and I think that there were a few teacher dates within there, at least 4, that could maybe be removed and have as school days rather than teacher work days, so that we can kind of gain back so that we don't have to go so late. But that's my opinion. I know that it has gone out to the teachers and the staff for opinion, but just my opinion as it is I don't feel comfortable approving it.
And since Jonas is not here, I would just make statements. What I'm talking to Jonas about is there are 2 things. As he went out to staff to get it, it was about a 50-50, slightly more in favor actually when he went down the numbers of this calendar. Doesn't mean it isn't worth more discussion, absolutely. And so he said, why change things? Why don't we stay consistent with what it was? I'll say the only other thing with this calendar that has kind of been part of the past is that this calendar mirrors South Washington County's calendar. as the first day of school to the last day of school. I think South Washington's is one day earlier, same spring break and the like. And so that's speaking for Jonas, but again, you all decide if you want to move to table it till another month or vote on it and just determine through a vote right now.
When do we need an answer on it? Do you know?
Today, if we go forth and make a motion, it's just, if we go forward and do the motion and just call it, it's majority rules, right? And then if you wish to make a counter motion to table it to next month, then we vote on that motion. So how strongly do you / other teachers who you've spoken with feel? Do you think we need to table it, or is it okay?
I don't know. It's just my opinion, so, I mean, I will have to work with whatever is decided as the board, so. I just wanted to make sure that I said my piece, and I've said my piece.
Definitely. I'm just quickly trying to see what Memorial Day looks like the next year. Is this gonna be the tradition that?
You mean Labor?
Labor Day, I'm sorry, Labor Day, just go back, and my internet's not working.
I think
No,
it's
next
also
year's
late.
is another late. And
Is
then it
another
goes
late.
back to early.
So
I think
2
that's
lates
right.
and then back to an early. Okay.
I can see where you're coming from. I mean, I heard the same thing from people when this came out. My team was split half and half.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like, I don't know if there's a way to.
It's funny, that was really
We're
all
never
the
gonna
all the
make
grades
Can't
were like
appease
that.
everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
agree with you. It's really hard from a teacher perspective to go into June. It is really, really hard. You lose a week of instructional time, which is something that Jonas talked about, especially with MCAs and stuff too. You lose a week of instructional time.
Before
However,
leaving stage.
yeah, I think that something that was really important that was prioritized a lot that I heard from teachers was the workday after winter break, which we haven't had. And so I feel like that was something that was really important when I talked to people. And then that Thanksgiving week, I think, was really important. And it was really helpful. We actually had a lot less absences in my high school around Thanksgiving because I feel like families felt like they had the full week to be able to do those things. And I know you had brought up from a family perspective, you were like, I don't know how I feel about that, and then we already did it. So
I would have hated that, and I
Yeah.
heard people complaining.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that it was a specific population of people who I work in healthcare. I can't get time
Yeah.
off around
Yeah.
holidays, so I hear from other people who can't get that time off too, so.
And that's my experience too. So I also in healthcare, I work
Yeah.
4 days a week. I can flex my one day off. So when you do a random day off here
Yeah.
and there, that's
Yeah.
easier for me personally. But I do also see the benefit for others who maybe like to go out of town. I think it was nice that we had the Tuesday off after President's Day and MLK Day. You know, lump that together for families so they could go somewhere if they wanted to or whatever. If kids are with grandparents, then hey, 2 nights in a row instead of here and there with a bunch of back and forth. So I see both sides of it. And I think another thing about having Thanksgiving break off, especially this year, was how many students were out ill, right? Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Thursday, Friday leading up to
Yeah.
it, and to have that reset for
And it's,
wellness.
like Jonah said, some of those, I mean, we can all agree, Colleen and Allie, it's those 3 December weeks are rough.
Yep.
So having that reset, even just mentally, it was incredible. So time to just be with family, and because otherwise it feels like Wednesday has been a work day for us in the past, and it's like you're working all day Wednesday, so you don't get to see family until actually Thursday, and that's tough, especially if you have to travel.
Yeah.
So I think just from that perspective too, but I think you weren't really talking as much about Thanksgiving as you were other teacher work days. Is there like a requirement for how many teacher work days we need?
Yes, yeah. I would like to hear from Justin as an actual parent of a students, multiple students and
3,
clients.
yeah.
Any,
Around,
our client, just around the 2 calendars you saw and the calendar that's presented tonight and how that might fit from the family perspective. You know, we've heard 2 here, but there's another one.
I mean, I kind of found, you know, with the longer breaks, like around Thanksgiving, not necessarily around MLK Day and the other 2-day, I think President's Day. We didn't travel, so for me it was harder because now I have to do something with the kids all week. So I found it more challenging, and it felt a little unnecessary to me, but, you know, on the other side of the coin, had we been traveling, you know, it would have been nice, you know. So it's tough. I mean, I can see both sides of the argument, but just personally, I found it more challenging because now I gotta do something with the kids. I didn't have childcare, so I was trying to work from home and get stuff done, and the kids want to be entertained, and you know.
How do you feel about school stretching into June?
Well, I know my kids don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Probably no kids want to do it.
Yeah.
Mine will. My fourth grader in particular will say her favorite days of the year are back to school shopping, the first day of school. The worst day ever is the last day of school. Every year.
I can see that with her.
Yes. So your friends a little longer.
Yeah.
Your school friends. a little
I mean,
longer.
we explained to them that
In the longer,
they're also starting later.
Yeah.
Yes.
I grew up in
So it's just
Minnesota.
kind of like
I
that's
remember
kind of the trade-off.
June 11th
Yeah.
and June 12th being the last day of school.
Yeah.
But in my family, we do a lot of things in the end of August. So for me personally, I would have hated having to go back to school before Labor Day. But I was used to June 12th being my last day sometimes.
Justin and Carly, can I ask you then? So next year, with this calendar, there's not those like weird, I guess, like 4-day weekends really at all? Like President's Day and MLK Day are just the 3-day weekends, and I think part of that is because most of our staff won't be doing letters training anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
So then I guess the one would be the Thanksgiving. So is that something that you feel like passionate about, that we feel like that's, you don't want to do that? Or is it because of Thanksgiving and the 4 days, or?
I'm fine with
Thoughts?
it. Another thing that had come to mind when I was looking at the calendar was we know that there are more ODRs on short weeks. But Shiler's presented that to us, 2 years in a row now. So having all of Thanksgiving off, there too. I didn't realize how important the January 4th Monday as a staff day was. What do you need that for? You've already had 2 weeks off, but hey, okay, if you need that, go for it. But that was just
Weeks
another
off
thing.
versus work time, because then I don't have to work on my off time. Like that's the staff's like.
But like in that specific location, I guess, that day in that location.
It's specifically so that you're like prepped for coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great, absolutely take it. But that was one thing I considered when looking at it too.
Yeah.
I don't care either way, I'll figure it out. The notice, I think, is helpful for families that we're at least trying to do it now, as opposed, it's been March for a few months.
Yeah.
I know the summer program, like Kids Club, through the district, but local to many of our students, that doesn't start until when we're I'm guesstimating based on previous years, but I'm guessing it's gonna start the 14th, so right after school's done, because there's usually a little gap in between, which is a scramble to find childcare too. So hey, if school goes through it instead, awesome.
So
Either way.
What do y'all think? You want to vote, or do you want to?
Well, I
I'm
think
comfortable
we-
voting.
Voting, okay.
Yeah.
We had a first and a second, so the next is the voting.
Unless someone wants to counter motion.
Yes.
All right, all in favor of this calendar, and then again, the revised testing calendar, I guess I'll just speak the couple words. What changed, correct me if I'm wrong, is we were doing testing on the same Tuesday, Wednesday. We split it up for internet reasons, Monday, Tuesday for one group of kids, Wednesday, Thursday for another. So that's the change there. So voting to approve those, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? The motion carries. And then we will look to 9.2, the revised mission and vision statements. Now, when this originally came out to you guys, there were a couple options. I have since highlighted in red what the final proposal is. So the final proposal, and now remember, these are temporary while we're redoing your strategic plan and focusing in, and we'll fine tune things later. So this is a stand-in for what we verbalized at the beginning of the meeting here, just because we thought the wording was a little bit presuming kids would still leave after middle school, which we're wanting them to stay. We're planning on them to stay and building the curriculum and the extracurriculars for students. So this would be the suggested stand-in verbiage for the mission and vision for the time being. Mission. The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs, strategies grounded in solid research, and the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis for a rigorous overall educational program. And then the vision of WLA is to be a school where students become exceptional leaders and are prepared to navigate and shape their future. That said, I will make a motion to approve those. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Cassidy, would you be willing to maybe send the red parts of these blurbs that we just approved
Mhm.
to our committee leaders so they can update their documents?
Yes.
Thank you. So 9.3, Patrick touched on earlier about switching the insurance brokerage to USI. I will make a motion that we approve that change.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Board communication and future items. I do not have any board reports at this time. Housekeeping. Our next meeting will be Thursday, March 19th at 5:30 here in Building C. Now our favorite motion. I will motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
You got it, 45 minutes.
Nice and
Yeah,
Wow.
you got it.
Wow.
45